now?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is Mario, again, founder of Coin for Sales, cryptocurrency / fintech startup.
Okay, my name is Mercy. My name is Mercy, portfolio director for Learntor. Okay, this is the second phase of the recording for the week 9 task. So we are going to Mario is going to quickly analyze the article that we're supposed to read so that you can understand it as much as you read it. Okay, go on, Mario, please.
Okay, so the private investment article actually starts with explaining what private investment is, what venture capitals are, and what angel investors are, what seed funding is, all that. And it shows different ways you can get funding. You can also have money and put inside your own business and be the first investor inside your own business. This is very good because you learn how to manage your own money more. You do yourself well, but often at times, as you will read, that we do not have enough money to put into our own business. So usually we seek for maybe a family member or friends and family. That's what is what we call the seed funding stage. Is where you sought for the initial funding to get your company running. For example, now is the TEF funding. There is a seed non-refundable funding, the seed funding. Now, when you start getting investments, you have different chains. You are investing inside your company, either with time or resource. Then your investors are investing inside your company. Can you scroll down, please, to the image? Hello, Mercy.
I'm here. Lukman was calling me. His network is not connected.
Can you go down?
I should go down, right?
Go down? Yes.
Okay, one sec, please. Okay. Yeah?
The image.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So you realize that the article also pinpoints some investors, businessmen that actually started with family funding also, the family loan and all that, just like a link to Dangote. Now, when you look at this image, you see yourself, you investing inside your business. You see your investor investing and your customers. Customers are source of investment also. Because suppose now that you generate revenue from you're already paying users and you're getting money from them. You have paying users. Paying users are very good source of investment because it means you can put this money back into your company or into your business without actually going to look for money elsewhere. So it's some sort of internal source of investment. So I think that's for this. And you see how the money is also spent in this diagram also below the ring shows how the money is disseminated, marketing, debt, payments, and all that. So let's move over to company valuation. Hello, Mercy.
Yeah, I'm here. Company valuation.
Yes.
Okay, go on.
Should I share my screen?
Okay, yes, you can actually.
Yes.
But I have it opened anyway.
Okay.
But you can share your screen if you want to.
Yes, let me share my screen so that I can be free.
Let me stop sharing. Okay, I'll stop sharing.
Okay.
So click on the green button. Okay, awesome. Yeah, it's loading. Yeah, it's loading.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I'm looking for the company valuation. Okay, so this is the company valuation. Now, in this article, you will learn how you can value your company. Like we said earlier, before you get an investment, there have to be a way you can tell that this is what my company is worth. Now, think of your valuation as you want to say you wanted to sell your company to an investor. What will you price your company to be at that point you want to sell it? That is what valuation is. You want to sell your car, what will you price your car to be? There are different ways you can price a car. There are different ways you can price a house. Now, suppose you're into real estate and you want to buy a duplex. There are several things you can do to price a duplex. You can look at the buildings around and know how much it costs. Similar buildings like that. So a kind of valuation like that would be what is called market valuation, based on markets, as you can see here. Then also, you can also say that for this duplex I want to sell, I have so number of shares, which what so, and all that. I have a diesel a generator. I have this and all. This is assets. You are calculating the properties you have, and you sum them up in total. This is an example of asset pricing and asset valuation, and also income. And income valuation is when you go to a building, when you want to sell your estate, for example, and you say people around in this vicinity, let's say you live in a particular estate in Abuja, and they pay 1.5 million for rent for duplex in that area, then you can project that within the next 10 years or let's say 5 years, when you know that the house has not lost its value, you still keep up with a particular amount, then you can sum that amount up as income, then use it to value the building you want to sell. So that kind of valuation is income-based valuation. As you can see, let me narrate from the onset, because I just did an analogy using real estate and using building. You want to sell a building and all that to go. So let's read directly. The asset-based valuation. This approach requires that you add up the current value of everything the company owns. Mostly, that means the value of you and your team in terms of salaries you would be getting paid at any regular job, plus any copyright or patent and physical property. The final aspect to consider is relationship with customers or data about them. I think this is quite clear now with you also using the building example. I told you calculate your diesel gen you have, the kind of shares you have. Maybe you have a customized gold shares and all that. Those are assets. Those are properties, physical properties. You calculate them. Maybe you have a gate man. You calculate his salary together. So this is an example of it. So you calculate everything. If I want to sell my company, how much will I be paid normally as a worker? How much will all my workers be paid? You sum the amount up. You value the number of laptops you have, number of desktops you have. I'm talking for an IT company, or the number of machineries you have, and all that. Now, also moving forward, there are also ways you can price other assets like copyright patents. A particular company can have a patent to produce a particular device that can be valued also. So when you add this several valuation as a asset, you can value your company or using the asset-based valuation. Then secondly, the market-based valuation. We also made an example with this using the building analogy, that you want to know how much they buy similar houses around. So you are actually using a kind of benchmark. Now let's read. So this approach requires that you estimate the size of your addressable market. That means you have to be realistic in terms of how many people and what they will pay. Now this doesn't seem like what I was saying, but you'll see what things like what I'm saying. Then you take the business into account, reducing your value for more competitive markets. Finally, you can see how accurate you are by researching the value of startups in other regions that have been funded. How much were they valued at your stage of development? So this is actually, from this aspect down, is the aspect I was stressing about, knowing the prices of similar buildings around, because you are trying to say, okay, have an IT business. Okay, now let me research the market. Similar IT businesses like mine in Asia, in Europe, in America, how much valuation did they get at a funding stage similar to mine? You understand? It's a good way for you to also value your company. Then the other one is your foreseeable market. This is looking at your market and saying your addressable market, looking at your market and saying, have a market this big. You understand? Market is money. For my business, I think the market valuation is about 250 billion, the market size, $250 billion worth. That is the market size of cryptocurrency and blockchain market. So that is a market size, not by figure, but by money. You should be able to tell that your business is so market, yeah, so large in dollars in market. So when you know that, is a good way for you to estimate. Knowing that you cannot have the entire market, there must be a percentage of the market you have. You understand? That can also help to value you. If the addressable market is worth 10 million US dollars, and within the addressable market, you are sure of your market, your customers will be like 10% also. It is a good way also to value your company also. Then the next is the income based. We also did some talk about this. This approach requires that you can already project cash flows from customers. You use these cash flows, plugging them into a discounted cash flow spreadsheet. Now, this one has more technicality, so let's talk more about this one. This one, income stuff, is predicting, like the one I used. I used an analogy of knowing how much rent they pay for the estate, for buildings in the estate. So you can actually discount it. You can actually project the amount of rent that the person will take for acquiring this your house. Then you can use it to value it. You understand? But because the house will be depreciating, the value will be depreciating. That's why you need something called a discounted cash flow. You understand? So a discounted cash flow spreadsheet. There's always discounts there. When you want to sell your company, even when you use projection like cash flow projections, there have to be a way you discount for it. You understand? Things cannot always go the way you plan it and all that. So I think that is done. Then you will now finally discuss with the investor and how factors will affect this initial value. There are several factors that may affect this: change in technology and all that, and then maybe regulation, company, let's say locality regulation, nation regulation. Nigeria regulates cryptocurrency. Now it may change the nature of my business. You understand? Maybe I would have to go fully KYC. Maybe there will be some certain aspects of my business that I will not even be able to operate fully in Nigeria anymore. So those are the things you may consider and you may put into valuation using the income. Now there's this. Let's explain the pre-money valuation. We have explained this before in the glossary. So do not feel there's a reason for this again. This is the value of your company before it receives money. So the word pre-valuation, you understand? Then post-valuation is the valuation of your company after it receives an equity. You understand? So there is a pre and there is a post. So before you get funding, it is pre. After you get funding, it is post. Now, furthermore, this is the okay, I think let's read this line. This is the total that you use to calculate the percentage of equity that you give the investor. Okay, this line is very, very important that we take this line up and stress on it. Now, there is a general confusion if you have actually read and learned about valuation earlier before. If you have, then there is a general misconception with this, because we want to think that it is the money that the person is giving to us that we use to calculate the percentage of business. Now, percentage of equity we give to them. Suppose I have a business, or my company is valued 90,000 US dollars, and an investor is giving me 10,000 US dollars. It is a common misconception that I would calculate the worth of $10,000 in percent from my $90,000 worth valuation. This is wrong. Actually, the way you calculate it, the way you give equity is by adding the $10,000 to the $90,000. So you calculate the $10,000 away from the $100,000, which is the post money valuation, and not from the pre money valuation. And if you do that, you have $100,000, and $10,000 of $100,000 is 10%. So it's 10% you'll be giving to the investor in such a case. Now, for example, this is an example again. If you and your investor negotiated the pre-money valuation of a company of 125,000 US dollars, 125, or he or she gave you 25,000 US dollars. Then your post-money valuation becomes $150. Another example would be a pre-money value of $200,000, where you raised $40,000 and the post valuation becomes 240. I think this is a quite straightforward way. Now these are questions. So the questions that follows is what approach to valuation will work best for your company and why? Well, as you can see, for my company, I'm using all three forms of valuation. Please do not shy away from using a fixed part by thinking you can use only one means of valuation. You understand? As you can see here, say in the next worksheet, we will start calculating more realistic scenarios. For now, the important thing is to understand you need to build a strong case using asset, market, and income approaches. So you do not have to use only one approach. Please take note of this. You can use several approaches to value your company. And you can see I used all three, and I explained why I was using all three. So maybe let me just read through. You can say we can use all three types of valuation. We own liquidity in form of Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency, which we sell and which our users trade on. This liquidity may be considered asset. Yes, so this is an asset. At a given time, we may own 20 BTC, which values to $200,000 worth BTC. So immediately you realize that I have to use asset-based in this kind of situation because I have a lot of property. Bitcoin is also considered property somewhere. So if I want to value my company, I have to calculate the worth of that at that current time. You understand? That's why I use which values as of this time, because Bitcoin is currently around 10,000 US dollars. One Bitcoin is around 10,000 US dollars. So that's why I gave such valuation. So, and further, you can see I used other types. There are quite similar tech startups in Europe, so and in America who have done things like we are doing, like hard exchange. So also we can use market based. So this is explaining why we can use market based. Then the income valuation is essential because our revenue is greatly focused on user transaction, and projecting what this would be in the future tense is good means of valuation, very good means of valuation. If we know how many transactions, if I know how many transactions my company is going to process, my system is going to process within the next 1 year, I can actually tell how much streams of revenue can be generated, and it will help me guide the valuation I'm giving to the company. Now, second question is how will your company's value be changing in the future? What are the important milestones that will signal increase in value? Well, we have spoken about milestones before. Milestones is like a point you get to and you look and you say, yes, I've achieved this. You understand? That's like milestones. So I said we're expecting our value to show in our adoption and expansion as we diversify our products to different markets and realizing our goals. So I think one of the major ways you can actually get know your milestones is if you are realizing your goals and your roadmap. You have a plan in your roadmap. You said so time we'll do this. By so time you want to be selling your products to 100,000 people, 10,000 people. That's a milestone. So that's a milestone you can look up at. And this one says how much of your company are you willing to give to investors? I said 25% within the next 4 years, and because I have to be as stingy as possible with giving equity out. As you would read, if you sell your shares, your company, every time you sell your share, you are bringing somebody on board into your board, and you are losing your decision-making power because those people have to make decision with you. And also, if you give away more than 50% of your shares, you have lost authority and control over your business. So do not give away your shares too much. As you would see in the next worksheet, I think equity worksheet, your percentage, 25%, may mean a lot. This may cost millions of US dollars to acquire 25% of my company if I grow the company well and if I build it well, if we can achieve our goals and our dreams. So by now, I think we can move over to the next. Learntor, are you there? Mercy.
Yes, there is your show. It's your show, but it's okay. But I just wanted to take them back to that because you explained something that I had to point it out to you as well. It's not as if you didn't know it, but you have been saying it since. You know, the TAM, the SAM, and the SOM. So
okay.
If you can share what I shared with you, there's a link that explains what he's saying, and that task is in week 2, and it was explained in your glossary.
So your screen, it should be in my downloads before I look for it.
Yeah, you can see it on your. Just open your Telegram and see it. Otherwise, I can project it, but it's okay. But what I'm just trying to point out is the fact that your TAM, it will help you to decide, okay, this is your total. Okay, that's it there. So this is in week 2. You can see how all of our tasks, they are all interconnected, how they are all interrelated, you know. So the importance of TAM, SAM, and SOM. So it's explained. I'll probably share the link so you can look at it. So he explains, here's a quick explanation of what Mario has explained. So if you have not been able to do this, your total available or addressable market, you need to understand how to do that. You need data. Without data, you can't really make that kind of informed decision.
Yeah.
For business like someone like Mario, his data is available on the web. So he can easily use that to do the total available addressable market. Okay? But he still needs data to do the SAM. He needs data to do the SOM. So I just wanted to quickly take everybody back because it was some research that I did to understand this because it was in week 2, glossary. Over to you, Mario.
So Mercy, we shared this link she shared to me. It's very wonderful. As you can see, it's nice. We have to understand this. It's very important. You cannot bypass this. Your total available market is the entire market itself. Then your segmented addressable market, that's the people you are targeting. You understand? Some of our business are horizontal based as opposed to vertical. As we have done that, I've forgotten the week, but I remember what it is we have learned. There is horizontal, and there is horizontal is when you are focusing on a particular type of product. You are selling shoes for men. You understand? That's a kind of a horizontal marketing. You understand? Horizontal market. So that's a sort of segmentation. So you have to know this from this, but this is total market. You have to calculate the percentage of this from this. Then from this you have to get this. You cannot possibly have the entire market to yourself. So you have to have a share of the market. We can rightfully say when it comes to social media and messaging using the internet, Facebook has a lot of shares. And when it comes to search engines, we can rightfully say that Google has 90% of the search engine shares. So that is their share of the market. You understand? So you have to know your share of the market. I think so. That's what Messi is here to stress for us. And knowing that it is SAM and it is SAM and it is SOM is a good way to guide you. I think I'm going to equity now. Now, equity dilution. Now, this worksheet continues with the assumption that you will either now or in the future seek private investment for your company. We have already learned how important it is to consider the risk of such investment. Taking private investment means that the investors will sit on the board of directors and have some influence over the company's strategy and decision making. We cannot overstress this, please. You cannot overstress this. And within the course of this week, you realize that you can also consider other sorts of and to ship. Now, before we continue this, if you as a startup now value your company, your company will be very low in value. Now, Tony Elumelu is giving you $5,000. So $5,000. Calculate how much you have now at your hand. You calculate that. Calculate your assets. You calculate that. Calculate how much you pay yourself and how much stream you have. When you value your company, I don't think your company will currently worth more than 50,000 US dollars. You understand? Now, suppose you want to sell share from your 50,000 US dollars. Somebody can just come and give you 40,000 US dollars, and you'll be happy. And you have sold 90% of your company. You have lost your company. You understand? So you are now a minority shareholder. That's why it strings and rings that there is a lot of risk while taking investment. So you should be careful taking investment. So we can proceed. You also give some shares of your company. Okay, this is stressing the part. Now, stock, the relative value. When you receive investments, you immediately give shares of your company to the investor. The shares or equity is what the investor is paying for. The number of shares or the percentage of equity is determined by two things: the size of the investment and the company's value. Again, we have stressed this a lot. Remember, the pre-money and post-money value. You take the pre-money value and the investment, and the total is the post value. The percentage of the company that you give the investor is calculated by dividing the investment into the post-money valuation. Now let's give several examples. Okay. Now, example one, I don't know if I should bring out my calculator for this so that it will make sense. I don't know if my calculator in the system is slow. Okay. This is quite straightforward though. You really need calculator.
Just use calculator for layman like all of us. We still need to understand it.
Okay, so the calculator is loaded. So a $10,000 investment into a $90,000 company turns it into a $100,000 worth company. Please, this is okay. I'm sharing my screen now. So this is bold. Let me bold this. This is bold. This is the pre-valuation. This is the pre-valuation, and this is the investment. And this is the investment, and this is the post valuation. So now, what we are saying now is that when they give you $10,000 worth investment, do not calculate the percentage of $10,000 from $90,000 and give the person equity. No, it's wrong. Sum it up to your pre-valuation and get your post-valuation, which is $100,000. Then it is from here you now calculate this investment from. You understand? That's how it works. Now, the investor in the case receives 10%, as you can see here. I don't know how we type the math out, but 100,000. Let me just illustrate here. Okay, $90,000 is pre plus $10,000 is investment, gives you $100,000, which is post. Now, $100,000 is equal to 100% of company. Now, previously the $90,000 was what was equal to 100%. Please take note. Previously $90. So at pre-stage, let me make this clear. At pre-stage, $90,000 is 100% of company. So at pre-stage, the $90,000 is the 100% worth of the company. Now, but after receiving investment, it changes. It is now the $100,000 that becomes the 100%. So the question you ask is, somebody gave you an investment of $10,000. What is the worth of $10,000 from $100,000? Now that gives you 10%. You understand? That gives you 10%. You can do the maths, and you can do. I believe you can do the maths. It's quite straightforward. I don't know if I need to write a formula, but let me see if I can get a formula. Usually, the way we ask, please ask yourself. It's Bodman, so let me do it in a programming way so that you can understand. If $100,000 equal 100%, I want it to be as clear as possible. Then this is like using old programming language to illustrate it. Then I want it to fall in here. I will arrange this later. Then X%. Then okay. Then $10,000 equal X%. So X% is your unknown. So mathematics tells you that you cross multiply. You understand? Even if we have forgotten mathematics, you can remember. It means X should marry 100, then 10%, 100% should marry 10,000. So that gives us a formula. That gives us a formula that X%, after cross multiplying, then you divide to make the X the unknown subject of formula. I'm teaching you maths. X% becomes 100% times $10,000 divided by $100,000. So please note, this is in brackets. So you evaluate what is in brackets first. So now this is how you get your 10%. So you can double check this in your calculator. Let's not waste time. So this is how it all flows. You understand? So you can easily get a formula. You can know what percentage X% is equal to the 100% of the company times the investment. So we can actually get a formula for this, that equity in percent is equal to 100% times investment times investment. Let me bold this. Investment in brackets, please. So you have to evaluate what's in brackets first, divided by 100,000 high post valuation. I think with this we can always reuse this formula now. This is a good formula. We can always reuse this. 100% is a constant. 100%, your company will always have an 100% value before as a post valuation. You understand? Then the investment is the amount it received. Then the post valuation is what is the amount in value. What is this 100% worth in value? Remember, 100% is worth $100,000. That's what it is. You understand? So this is the post valuation, as we can see for here. So you cannot let me look at this a lot again for you so that you can come back to it. If 100%, so it's quite straightforward. Now, and another example is a $50,000 investment into a $450,000 company turns into a $500,000. So this is the post valuation of the company. This was the pre-valuation of the company. The investor in that case receives 10% again, or $50,000 dividend in $500,000 of the company. So dividend, same thing. You understand? Same English. And you can also calculate for this. Here means plug $500,000 inside. Plug $500,000 inside the post valuation. Then leave 100%. 100% is a constant. Then plug the investment. The investment is $50,000. Plug $50,000 inside this place of investment. So let's see if we can just use it to answer this. Please permit me. Okay, let's see if we can. Let's use it now. By the left people. Okay. Let's see if we can use the equation to easily do this. Now, the equation says you want to know how much percentage we are giving, which is 100%. So it's 100% times the investment. The investment was 50,000. So, yeah, times wow. Wow. Sorry, looking for multiplier. Okay, seen it. Times investment. Okay, 100% times the investment. The investment was 50,000. 50, 1, 2, 3, which is equal to 5 million divided by what the post valuation, and the post valuation now is 500,000, which is gotten from the 450,000, which is the pre-valuation plus the investment. So divided by 500,000, 500, 1, 2, 3. So this gives us your 10%. So that's why you can see that there is a 10% year we give. So this formula will always work. Formula to get the equity you are giving. It will always work because there are four variables here. You have to plug in the right variables. And with this formula, we can also iterate it, use it for all examples, and you can get why this is 6.2%. And since this is not an even number like the previous one, so I think we should try it out. An investment of $50,000 into a $750,000 worth company turns it into $800,000. The investor in this case receives 6.225%. So let's confirm this. Please forgive me and forgive me for this hooking of a system. Let me clear this. System is hanging. Oh. So it's not coming up. If now I wanted us to look at it, but it's not coming up. I wanted us to look at it, but it's not coming up. So you can look at that on your
own. Okay.
The calculator, and you can look at that on your own. But using this formula, it will always, you will get this 6.25% if it is correct, and I know it is correct. So just plug in the figures where you have to plug them in. The investment you received is $50,000. So what is the company's post valuation? Is $800,000 US. Look at this equation and realize that we have not done anything with this $750,000. This $750,000 is your past. Please, this your pre-valuation is your past. You do not use it to calculate the equity you give for an investment. You do not use it. You only use it to get what the post valuation is. After getting what the post valuation is, you can dump this value. You understand? So it is like an iterative process. So the next time when an investor comes now, after getting $800,000, when an investor comes, what you notice now that if another investor comes and brings $50,000 US, the investor cannot get up to 6.25% again because the value of the company has increased after this first valuation. I don't know if I have to show this in figures, but I think it's quite straightforward. Your company was worth $750,000 before. Then somebody brought $50,000. Because of this $50,000 has a particular equity, a particular percentage, which is 6.25%, and has raised it. And the addition to this has made it $800 worth. And the $800,000 worth. And the $50,000 was calculated from this $800 worth, which is this percentage now. Now, suppose now again that somebody is coming to invest again in your company, this same amount of $50,000. Now, this investment will change it to $850, and this goes to $100. For a second, please follow this flow. You should not say I've scattered the figures. This I'm saying for another $50,000 investment. Now, because somebody is bringing $50,000 now into an $800,000 already valued company, the post valuation goes to $850. Now, it means the person has to get less than 6.25%. So the person has to get less percentage than the first person who invested same amount of $50,000, because that person's money has been used to increase the post valuation of the company, And remember that it is not the post valuation that you have now again used to be the pre-valuation to receive investment from this new investor. And I think that is how it works. And when you move over, this is quite simple as you have seen, because it is a one-person company. Now you see here that says, what if there is a co-founder? Let's say there were two people who each owned 50% of the company before the investment. In this case, after the investment, they would own equal halves of the rest of the company. Now this question follows from this question, please. Do not be swayed away. This question follows from this question and not from this. So now this is considering co-founders. Now in this case, we were talking about a single founder, you understand, of the business. Now if it is a co-founding business, depending on the percentage you both have to the company, it's how you give the percentage out to the company again. So you understand now that if you both of you have 100% worth of the company, and you are giving somebody 10% out of the company, the 10% comes equally from both of you, 5% each. Because what remains after giving 10% of your company to an investor is 90%, and both of you have equal shares. So which means you split that 90% within yourself, which becomes 45%. Now it all goes messy immediately, because after that, you now have three people who have shares in the company. The two co-founders have now have 45%, while the new investor have 10%, which makes it up together the 10%, 100%. Now suppose that another investor is coming again to purchase 10% of the company. Now you have to split this 10% across all three people again. So you realize that with time, each of each of the value or your equity you have of your company, the more you give shares out, starts reducing. And everybody that owns shares in a company at a particular time X, their shares will start reducing and declining with more investors coming. What changes is that the investors coming are bringing money into the company, thereby increasing the post valuation of the company. So while their percentage is actually reducing, it does not necessarily mean the worth of their percentage is reducing, because their percentage may be increasing. And there were strong examples about this if you read very carefully. Now, money, the absolute value. In the examples that we have seen, the entrepreneur is giving up shares of his or her business. In other words, they are slowly losing profit and control. Why would anyone do this? What makes up for these substantial disadvantages? In many cases, private investment is necessary because there are no other forms of money that an entrepreneur can access. But there is also another important point. We cannot just look at each person's relative share, because there are other changes taking place. As your business grows, each share will become more valuable. That's what we are saying. Each share becomes more valuable. And there is a saying in Silicon Valley that it is better to own 10% of a lot than 100% of nothing. Now, that is the case right now. Now, if I value my company without taking Tony Elumelu money, how much is my company worth? Is my company really worth up to 100,000 US dollars? You understand? Now, if you now have 100% of 100,000 US dollars, now, and somebody people are ready to buy shares in your company, that will raise the value close to 200,000 US dollars. Or say, let's say we raise the value, let's be realistic, we raise the value close to 120,000 US dollars. That means you are selling 20% of the company, using this example I'm using now. Now, when you have 20% of your company sold, and the company is now 120,000 US dollars, your 80% does not worth 80,000 US dollars again. You understand? Your 80% worth more than 80,000 US dollars now, because there was an input in the business. And now you will read that if you use that money well, the 20% equity, the value you sold it for, which is 20,000 US dollars, if you use that money well to grow the company, After a year or so, the company's valuation, post pre-valuation again for the next investment will now increase, and that your 80% will now even be greater than the previous 100% which you had, which was up to $100,000. So that's what it means here, that it's better to have 10% of something very large than 100% of nothing. If you had 1% of Google shares, you're a big man. That's what it means. I'd rather have 1% of Google shares than have 100% of my company right now. That's the actual example, because 100% of my company does not worth 1% of Google shares. So that's actually the meaning of this. So it does not necessarily mean that the decline in your percentage actually is a decline in the value of what the percentage was. Let's use our 3 examples again to illustrate how this works. Before the investment in the first place, the entrepreneur owned 100% of $90,000. Then he or she owned 90% of a $100,000 worth company, which is still equivalent to the same $90,000, as you see, because he or she had 100% of $90,000. This was the company's pre-evaluation before he received the $10,000 investment. By receiving the $10,000 investment, which made it $100,000, and the $10,000 of $100,000 is 10%. So the person gave away 10% equity, reducing her equity to 90%. But now she has an equity of 90% in an $100,000 worth company, no longer a $90,000 worth company. And 90% of $100,000 is the same thing as $90,000, which actually means the value in fiat, the value in money, in monetary way sense, does not reduce, even though our equity has reduced. Now, let's say the investment, continuing. Now, let's say the investment is used to grow the company to a value of $200,000. Remember the investment I was talking about. Now, suppose that $10,000 was used wisely to grow the company from $100,000 to $200,000 now. The entrepreneur's share is now $180,000, 90% of $200,000. You realize this. And the person who invested, the investor now has $20,000. Is 10% now worth $20,000. But remember that he gave $10,000 to acquire 10% of the company. But because that $10,000 was used well to increase the company's value to $200,000, his 10% now gives him $20,000. While you who previously had $90, who had 90% of the company, of which is worth $90,000, you now own $180,000 US. So you can see how it works. So by losing share, you have actually gained more value from your money. So which do you prefer? I prefer to have 90% of my company that is worth $200,000 US than have 100% of the company that is worth $90,000 US. So you have to do the math for yourself. So, and when you go, consider the second example, and all the examples follows the same way. So I do not think there is anyone you need to overstress. Let's come back to this final example. I think this is worth looking at. In the final example, with the co-founder, we will see how smart investment can increase value. Remember that after the investment, $50,000 US each co-founder owns. 50,000. Remember that after the investment of $50,000, each co-founder owns 46.875% of an $800,000 worth company. That is the equivalent of $375,000 US. Now, if that investment was used to grow the business to a $2 million worth company, then each of the co-founder now owns $937,500 US. So you understand how this works now, because they used the investment to grow the company to $2 million US. Their 46% shares is now worth $900 and something US, almost $1 million US. So I think that's how this equity stuff is about, and this is what it is teaching us: equity dilution, how you spread equity amongst your stakeholders. You understand? And you realize that this goes complex the more people you add into the scene. Example investment. So let's say, okay, you can read this up, people. You can read this up. Think that you can read this up. This table shows the breakdown of the examples, but with the ideas we have looked up, you can understand this very well. And I think this is all. Mercy.
Thank you so much, Mario. I didn't want to interrupt you. Thank you. Guys, I hope you find the recording helpful. At least you will know what you're doing in case you want to get investor into your business. You will know how to safeguard yourself and know, okay, what are my projections? How can I help my business? You know, so I don't think I need to add anything to this anyway, Mario.
Yeah. Now going back, I just remembered something, because what is worth doing is worth doing very, very, very well. Now going back, there was a question that was asked. I want to go back to that question. I'm still sharing my screen.
No problem.
Yeah. I want to go back to this question that was asked. There was a question that was asked, how do you need, okay, what do you need money for? Okay, how long would you be able to last on the money you are trying to raise? Please, this question may seem funny, but again, if you look at the equity valuation, this question has more reason than it is. Now, you see from this valuation how a company which was worth 90,000 US dollars after receiving 10,000 US dollars becomes a post valuation becomes 100,000 US dollars, and the owner of the company who previously owned 100% now owns 90%, but then his 90% was equal to the 100% he also had. Now you see cases where the littler the share became, though they use the investment where the more valuable their percentage become. Now this immediately beckons on you answering this question well. If you were getting 10,000 US dollar investment to a $90,000 company, how long will this money last? How well will you use this money? It is very essential you have to know this, please. How well will you use it? Because if you use this money so well, it lasts so well, it means after a year or so, the company would have feasted on its own revenue. Remember that we said a paying customer is a very wonderful source of revenue, a wonderful source of investment. Then it means if you use that 10,000 US dollars well, the company would have feasted on this money for a while and grow in its value. If previously you were worth 90,000 and $10,000 was brought into the company, now the post valuation is $100,000. Now, what did you use that $10,000 to do? That's the question here. What do you use it for, and how long did you hold on to it? How long did you use it to work before you needed another money? Now, if you use that 10,000 US dollars very well, you may increase your $100,000 worth company now to $200,000 worth company with 10,000 US dollars. And let's say you do this within the span of from between 1 to 2 years or 1 year, you do that. Now, if you are asking for money again, your company worth has increased. You understand? So it means to get 10,000 to invest $10,000 inside your $200,000 worth company now would give a smaller share, which means your share has increased, your value has increased. So this is what I wanted to point out about answering this question. A better understanding of this equity valuation would help you realize that you have to hold on to an investment very well. You have to use the investment very well. The sole goal of investment is not just to squander your money, but to increase the value of your company. Because if the company valuation does not increase, you will receive more money from investors, and before you look, you give more percentage out. You understand? But if the value of the company increases, the more it becomes more difficult to acquire a particular percent of your company, as you have seen. Please, I think this will be well.
Well done, Mario. But on that note, let me just say, yes, you know, I've been sharing statistically. I mean, that's why I'm very passionate to help a lot of entrepreneurs, because I believe, yes, strongly that If you get the foundation right, the rest will be a walk in the park. Although entrepreneurship is not a walk in the park. It requires consistency, it requires commitment, it requires dedication, it requires learning, unlearning what you know. You know, you have to be open to knowledge, you have to be open to information. It's so, so crucial. You know, I cannot even overemphasize that. It's so, so important for you to actually learn, relearn, continue learning. You know, this equity dilution that he has explained, even me, I've gained a great deal. We have seen a lot of companies. If you all remember ITV, we have a lot of people that had great ideas. They went and spent so much money. At the end of the day, because they didn't understand the how of business, those businesses folded up. I mean, in my short lifetime, you know, I've seen so many businesses start so strong, very strong marketing, very strong team, very strong, but you will see them pump, buying new cars, investing so much. At the end of the day, what do you think happens? 2-3 years down the line, because they are spending money they are not making. So that takes a bite. That's why you must understand, even me that I'm saying it's just a mental thing, it's because it's because of tests. I vow it to myself as an entrepreneur, I must understand the numbers, because without the numbers, I understand how to analyze data, but you see, it's just laziness. And I think it's the way I've seen mathematics from primary school. And I'm sure I'm not the only one affected by this. But at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, you need to know your numbers. You need to know how well you're doing. What is your scalability rate? How well are you doing as a business? I mean, if you talk about, okay, performance, what KPIs, what key performance indicator are you using to measure your productivity? Are you using to measure your performance? All these questions, you must answer them. You know, so if you have not watched the cash flow video that we did, thanks to Lukman and Mario, go and watch it. Let's not be one of the companies that started and at the end of the day, folded up. Let us make our families proud. Let us make Africa great. Let us change the narrative that we will succeed. You have to be passionate about it. And I believe we'll all succeed. Thank you, Mario, for your time. I really appreciate it. And I believe Point for Sale has come to stay. And a lot of you guys that you're doing a lot of cryptocurrency or transaction across, you know, Coin for Sale has tried to like help you bridge the gap. You understand? Not spending so much in charges for you to send money abroad, you know? That's what he's doing. And it's a big, big one. A big one. Mario is one of the people that I have adopted, you know, by fire, by force, you know. God, we are so intelligent, so Africans. There's no excuse. We are. And I want you to believe that you are intelligent. Your business can make billions of dollars. You can make it. But you have to be willing to be open. Get involved. Do not stop talking. I'd like to end there. Mario, is there anything you want to add?
No, nothing more. Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Mario. Okay.